Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is a midweek celebration. Holy cow. Are you recovered from last night? The drama, the shenanigans, the outcry. I did not realize that you could buy those protest signs in bulk from Amazon. Did you know that? I didn't know that either. But now that I know, apparently we have to have some, right? Because that's it. I can't believe what happened last night. It was, I have to admit, probably the best speech I have heard Donald Trump give ever. And that includes the first 4 years of his administration as well. We'll break all that down and so much more. What's up? Welcome into the show. Let's do this thing as we do it for a midweek celebration. As always,
do it live.
Your Millennial General reporting for duty like we do every single day. Great radio stations all over the place. Great to have you. Find us online at HoosierReason.com. What do we have today? Antonia Okafor. She'll be on the program. She is a spokesperson for Gun Owners of America. We'll have her on. This weekend is upcoming the second annual Women's Range Day. We'll talk about the Second Amendment, gun advocates, and the increase in the women demographic to purchase firearms. I know, for the left, that's like, now that's coming from, hold on, no, that's coming from the side of like Joe Biden, where he tells women that, hey, if you're being attacked, just pee on yourself. Like, that's their self-defense course right there, is to pee on yourself for whatever reason. So, yeah, no, we're going to talk about how to actually protect yourself, protect your family. The women demographic, obviously, as you know, one of the largest increasing demographics for gun ownership in the nation, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. But first and foremost, man, what a rock star President Donald Trump was last night.
My fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future, because the golden age of America has only just begun. It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
I think that about sums it up right there. Donald Trump knocking it out of the park last night, like an hour and 40 minutes, I believe, was his speech. And like I said, probably the best speech that I've ever heard Donald Trump give. So well done on that front. Yeah. Round of applause for you. I have to admit, and you know, as men, we're not supposed to be very emotional. We are the hardliners. We don't show any emotion whatsoever, says the old school individual. However, I will say that last night was like the biggest, widest range of emotion that I've ever felt for an address to Congress, especially for a State of the Union address. I was laughing. I got to admit, I wasn't necessarily angry or annoyed by the left-wing progressives. It was a little ridiculous. And honestly, the third-party objector just observing what Democrats do was really a reflection of the way culture is. Andy, what do you mean? Here's what I mean by that. The signs that they were holding, first off, Al Green, okay, yeah, he did his stand-up, he did his protest. They warned that they were going to do that. And I tell you, if we played the game that we set yesterday for the adult beverage drinking game, every time that Democrats would be rabble-rousers, then we would have had a really late night. But Al Green was out, so they had to call the sergeant of arms. He was gone. Finito, see you later. Bye, Al Green. And then we had the other ones that were holding signs. Now, was it Rashida Tlaib, I believe, that was sitting there? She didn't even just have like the printed sign that they bought on bulk on Amazon. She had a whiteboard that she was like erasing and writing things on there all the time, which I laugh because it's so stupid. Do you honestly think that Donald Trump's doing a speech and then looks over like, I wonder what Rashida Tlaib's saying on the whiteboard right now? This is an indication of the young generation that doesn't know how to be in the moment and thinks that their opinion is the most important opinion ever. It was literally an attempt of doing live comments of a real life event going on in place. It was like if she was watching a video stream, a YouTube feed, and you had the comment section, a comment of what's going on at that time. That's what the younger generation was doing, was that they're just, I have to give my opinion right now. Oh, how about this? I got to respond to this. I got to do this. That's what this was. They had to have these false signs, or Musk is stealing, which is really ridiculous, or save Medicaid or save Medicare, whatever else they said. And then Rashida Tlaib just writing on a dry erase board. It was live commentary of a comment section of an event that she was sitting at in person. And to me, that's a little weird, man. That's kind of crazy. But do you honestly think that Donald Trump looked over? I mean, now he did look over at the Democrats quite a bit. And I got to say, the master of trolling continues to master trolling. When he looks over and he points at every Democrat every time he talks about the previous administration or something bad happening, he's the master at trolling. He's the master of getting ratings, getting popularity, and trying to poke the bear at people. And it was hilarious to watch. The best part, however, you know the clip. It was probably the greatest piece of the entire night.
I'm also working tirelessly to end the savage conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything.
Yeah, no anything. And everybody, the Democrats, a little bit quieter. Yeah, the first time they applaud. Hooray! All right.
Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Zing! Well done. That was probably one of the greatest pieces of the entire night. Now, here's the thing. Donald Trump, again, because of the master that he is, takes it to another level. I don't know another president that has actively surprised the guests that he has brought. They obviously bring guests and they use them as, the scarecrow argument for whatever agenda they're trying to promote. So everybody does it. Let's just say that let's not say it's only Donald Trump that's, being political and trying to politicize people's lives. It's everybody. We get it. We understand it. This person's been through a traumatizing experience. We appreciate what they've done. We're going to promote some type of legislation or ask Congress for funding or ask Congress to pass a bill because of X, Y, and Z. Donald Trump's the only guy that I have seen actually surprise them while they're there. The 12-year-old kid that survived brain cancer, which, by the way, despicable. The Democrats couldn't even stand up for that. Surprised him by saying, not only are you a member of law enforcement in your community, we're also going to give you an agent's badge to be Secret Service. Completely shocked the kid. The 18-year-old kid that was there that got accepted into West Point, that he shocked him at that point. The renaming of certain parks or whatever. I mean, he does that on the spot. And because of that, you went through this roller coaster of emotion last night by watching the frustration with the Democrats, by laughing at comments like the Pocahontas thing, and then getting teary-eyed and crying when you see this young kid that survived brain cancer hug the head of the Secret Service, the main guy, the director of Secret Service, hug him because of the award that he's receiving. Like, the last time, I got to admit, again, Mr. Alpha Male here, manly guy that's not supposed to cry, I got teary-eyed last night. And the last time I got teary-eyed from a State of the Union speech, for crying out loud, out of all different kinds of speeches, was when Rush Limbaugh received the Presidential Citizens Medal of Freedom, or whatever it was, during the first administration. I bawled my eyes out when Rush Limbaugh got that. Donald Trump knows how to play on that emotion. And he really knows how, on that PR side, how to make Democrats look absolutely foolish. You need to go above your emotion, Democrats. I'm trying to give you words of wisdom here for your talking points. Yep.
What's trending today?
Here's your trending topic of the day. Don't be complete jerks. What did Senator Kennedy say? Don't be stupid, or don't be as idiotic, or don't be as bad as what you are right now. Do better. This is insane, man. When you can't stand up and applaud a kid that fought brain cancer and survived, you have a serious mental issue or some kind of serious emotion coursing through you, to where you would rather not care about a single human being because you have so much vengeful hatred towards someone like Donald Trump. Absolutely insane. And by the way, it didn't go well with Democrats, because even media today scratching their heads a little bit saying, maybe we should have handled that a little bit better.
Michael, this is an indictment, in my opinion, on the Democratic leadership. I talked to a lot of members during they was texting. The staff were on my phones and they were calling. And I think the best way to describe it is the Democratic leadership said they didn't want disruptions and they wanted people to attend and bring a guest, and they wanted, little business as usual, and we're fighting back in other ways. There is a palpable disgust, as Claire said, from not just the members, but their constituents. And it's like a pot, as someone described it to me, that's boiling, and it's about to bubble over.
Hold on, I'm confused right now. Is it the disgust and the pot boiling over because of the hatred of Donald Trump, or because of the Democrats not being in uniform? You got to remember, Democrats used to do the top-down tier system, right? It was the talking points, it was the marching orders, and they still do. If you listen to the talking points from like Adam Schiff or Chuck Schumer or even Nancy Pelosi when she can, get out of the wheelchair now and go and speak in front of the media, all of the talking points are exactly the same. They don't have an original thought. They get their marching orders from the DNC, and it's been that way for a while. The media is that way as well, and they're trying to get away from that, which is why they threw in the lone, I guess Uncle Tom, the Scott Jennings on CNN, of trying to be the conservative view, which destroys the entire CNN panel. But then they're like, oh yeah, we're still going to be left-leaning. So they're trying, haven't quite made it there yet. So I'm confused. Is this the boiling point? Because the Democrat Party, even though the Democrat leadership told them to be respectful, told them to be there to listen to Donald Trump, to not make a scene, and then they started stepping out. So is this because of the boiling point of Democrats that are just at the boiling point of Donald Trump? Which is probably true because Democrats hate him. The TDS is running pretty rampant today. Or is it the leadership that's angry at the Democrats underneath them because they lashed out when they weren't supposed to? They got a bad taste last night, and Democrats look really foolish today. Now, I did not watch the response to the State of the Union. I heard it was a female, but then on Fox last night after I went to bed, I saw that Bernie Sanders was on there, and I clicked on it for like 5 minutes, and he's talking about universal medical income and universal basic income and coverage for everybody and Medicare for all and all this other stuff. And and he looked really angry again too. The emotions running a bit high last night, so I just turned it off. I didn't pay attention because we've already heard from him. And if you got to sink to the level of someone like Bernie Sanders, not even sitting in a chair, but just like holding on to the back of a chair to stabilize himself because he was so fired up, that's a problem. You've really sunk to a new low. But the Democrats need to have some better PR. I'm helping you here. Helping you. Listen, help me help you. They got to have a better PR team here. And Democrats are so in an emotional rage, they didn't know how to handle. So even when Donald Trump was saying good things, they couldn't stand up and applaud. Even when they were honoring someone who's gone through a lot of garbage, they couldn't stand up and applaud and recognize that individual. That looks bad. And I'm telling you, Democrats, you've not learned your lessons yet. And if you don't learn your lessons, you're not going to win elections. Which is what Caroline Leavitt essentially said today during her press conference.
And as President Trump asked in his speech last night, how could anyone possibly be opposed to any of this action that he is taking? Well, apparently, the modern-day Democrat Party could. The behavior of Democrats last night was completely disgraceful and demonstrated how severely out of touch they are with the American public. It was the most shameful moment in the history of presidential addresses in that beautiful chamber. In what was supposed to be a unifying moment for our country, Democrat members of Congress instead screamed at the President of the United States, who was just overwhelmingly reelected by their constituents, walked out of the chamber, and worst of all, they disrespected the American people. Democrats didn't stand to keep men out of women's sports. They couldn't even clap for a girl who got her head smashed in by a man on a volleyball court. Democrats didn't stand for an innocent and beautiful child who is surviving brain cancer. They opposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security. They didn't stand in favor of cutting taxes for hardworking Americans.
I mean, it goes on and on and on. And look, these Democrats, the media can try and blow it off as propaganda. It was just the headline on Drudge Report right now, just a bunch of right-wing rally from a Donald Trump MAGA movement. That's what that was last night. If that's what you say, cool. You know what? I've said it's good either way. Either you self-implode because you don't figure out your, you know what, or you realize your errors, you start recognizing the mistakes, you do some self-reflection, and you better yourself and come back to start working with us. But either way, we don't need you right now.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. When reason meets radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
I was so shocked that he brought up Greenland. Now, I was really surprised that he waited to talk about Ukraine until the very end of the speech, which kind of blew my mind. That's been the headlines for the last week. So I expected that to be right out of the gate to talk about the tariffs, the foreign relations that we have, the ongoing negotiations for peace, and why Democrats are all a bunch of warmongers now, and why we're supporting the military-industrial complex. I was expecting that whole conversation, boom, right out of the gate. Didn't happen, which kind of shocked me. He waited till that being almost the last topic that he talked about. On Greenland, though, my offer still stands. Mr. President, if we end up getting Greenland, I will be more than happy to be the very first citizen to migrate up to the great area of Greenland. I have put myself out there. If it's going to be a 51st state, then I will be the governor. If it's going to be just a kind of like a Puerto Rico thing, then I will be the ambassador. I don't really care. I will move up there because I can enjoy that cold. Just hint, hint, wink, wink. Summertime's coming, and where I'm based out of here in Wichita, Kansas, with my flagship station, it's going to be in the hundreds and triple digits, and that's not okay. Not okay. It's 50 degrees right now where I'm at, and I could be totally happy with that being the high for the entire year. So that being said, I will pledge right now to you that if Greenland becomes part of the U.S., I will be the very first one to migrate up to that area and experience the greatness of that. But what was surprising to me was the fact that Ukraine was at the end of that, and the fact that he really threw it in the face of everyone who says he's going to start all these wars and he's just a Russian puppet. He's playing hardball. He does the negotiation. He throws out the idea of tariffs or of cutting off funding or of cutting off resources, and then they come to him, make a better deal, build a relationship, and then everything's fine. And that's why he read the entire letter that was sent from Zelensky in Ukraine to say, hey, the negotiation, the tough talk is working. I know Democrats, you've been coddled your entire life. It's kind of the participation trophy mindset. You've never been told no or had things taken away from you if you've been naughty. I have a 10-year-old daughter. If she's bad, she doesn't get to play video games, or she has a toy taken away from her because that's not how you act, and you're going to act the way that we need you to act, and then she's fine. Apparently, you've never had that kind of mindset. At the same time, we've gotten news today as well.
What's trending today?
This one, hat tip to Breitbart News, is Donald Trump apparently has now exempted automakers in the auto industry from the 25% tariffs that we're having from Mexico and from Canada. That coming at the request from those in the auto industry. Why? Because they say, hey, that's bad. We need to do some adjustments. Don't do that quite yet. We need to figure things out on our end. And Trump says, fine, cool. He's not hard set. Again, why is this such a shock and awe from people that don't understand him? We've been seeing how he negotiates for 10 years now. Why is this a shock and awe? If he says, we're going to do this, and people that he's trying to help say, wait a second, fine, okay, cool, let us adjust here first. He's like, all right, cool. Or when he puts on the hard law, the mandate, the tariff, the whatever on another nation, and they say, whoa, wait a second, we're really trying to work with you here. All right, cool. We'll extend it. We'll delay it. We'll temporarily stop it. He temporarily stopped the tariffs the first time that Mexico and Canada came to him and said, let's not do that because there's no need. Let's start locking down the border. Let's turn over cartel leaders, which Donald Trump announced last night. Let's stop the fentanyl flow, which Canada said that they've been working on as well. So these tariffs are saying, hey, you haven't done quite enough yet. We need to see faster response. I know your government. You think that you can go at the speed of government. That's not how we roll anymore. This is the Trump administration. We've signed 300 executive orders, cut down immigration border crossings by 95%, passing a brand new multiple bills, getting ready for a budget and tax bill, and we're 35 days into the administration. Let's go, baby. That's the speed he wants them to act as well, and he's going to get them to that speed. Relations will be great. The tariffs will go away. And as he says, the economy is going to be bigly.
And I think we're going to make it bigly.
Back after this here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. Truth, reason, and common sense. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
DJ's doctors believe his cancer likely came from a chemical he was exposed to when he was younger. Since 1975, rates of child cancer have increased by more than 40%. Reversing this trend is one of the top priorities for our new presidential commission to make America healthy again, chaired by our new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
That's awesome. I was so glad to see that. I was really excited. I know most people that are focused on the COVID issue, the health issue, that was a main focus for them. And RFK Jr., man, what a rock star he is. I can't wait to see what's coming out on that front. By the way, again, the sense of humor at Donald Trump at that time, if you remember when he was reading through last night the numbers of Social Security, which Democrats are like, they're not true, they're fake numbers. Okay, cool. You can say they're fake numbers. We'll cancel those payments, and then you can just pretend they never existed. That's the way the propaganda is probably going to go. Doesn't really matter. Donald Trump, however, was reading the numbers of those that are like 300 years old in Social Security, and then he turned to RFK and he said, wow, we're actually healthier than I thought, because if they're living that long, we must be doing something pretty good. Like, come on, man. Come on. Well done on that. All right, let's shift gears a little bit, shall we?
What's trending today?
We'll have some more of that response here momentarily. Democrats continue to lose their minds on that. But as you know, we're just covering the board. Donald Trump is using a scatter gun, metaphorically speaking here, which leads right into our segue. He's using a scatter gun attacking multiple different issues all at once, which is something the media, Democrats, progressives have never seen before, and it seems to be working relatively smoothly right now. One of those executive orders about a week or so ago, if you forgot, was to order the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi to look at gun restrictions and gun regulations across the nation and report back to him on what may be considered a violation or an infringement upon the Second Amendment. Kind of awesome, right? I mean, that's the way we should be doing it.
Winning.
So that's ongoing right now, which came out of the blue because outside of that, Donald Trump really hadn't talked about Second Amendment issues until that time. It's a big issue, it's a big industry, and people are now feeling a little bit more comfortable with their firearms, which leads us to our next conversation. Really happy to have on the program, and she's a spokesperson for Gun Owners of America. They have coming up this weekend their second annual Women's Range Day in Nevada. Really happy to welcome onto the program Antonia Okafor. Antonia, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you jumping on here. Excited to chat with you. It seems like we're finally, Antonia, we're moving in the right direction on multiple different issues, but especially even here with the Second Amendment.
Absolutely. There's a lot of ground that have been gained in the last, I would even say decade, but particularly, of course, since Donald Trump has been, championing protecting our Second Amendment rights and protections. There's been a surge, particularly in women getting firearms the last few years, especially. And so we're celebrating that this weekend in Nevada with our National Women's Range Day in the Las Vegas area. And last year we had over 300 women attend our first annual Range Day in Dallas, Texas. So we're ready to make it even, let's say, great again. This year. So we're excited.
That's really awesome. You mentioned women being a growing demographic. They are, I think, the largest growing demographic of gun ownership in the country, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's, I've been in this industry. I've been a activist since I was a college student, fighting for the rights for college students to be able to carry on college campuses with campus carry. And, I especially did not grow up in a pro-Second Amendment or even a gun-carrying family. So I'm one of the people who are part of this big female demographic, not only as a woman, but as even more so a Black woman. The left wants to tell people that particularly minorities are afraid of firearms, so they should be pro-gun control. But I've been the last decade have been just an example of this growing demographic amongst women and minorities in general of if you are an American, you have this right that you can exercise here in America, and let's protect that right.
Yeah, so it's really exciting.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's exciting because
Absolutely.
They've always said the most dangerous thing is when Mama Bear gets involved. And when there are crime rates going on around the community and around the country, and mothers and wives and women don't feel comfortable, especially even going to the grocery store with their kid with them, that's a problem. And when Mama Bear steps up and gets involved, then you have a serious problem, right?
Absolutely. And that's what we've been seeing is that, with these waves of, having to go to Walmart and have these mass shootings and, schools, the left, the anti-gun left has perpetuated this idea that, well, then that means you need to be pro-gun control. Well, we've seen from women that I'm a firearms instructor myself, and I get to talk to women all the time, all over the country. We have these range days. And actually, the growing sentiment is that wait a minute. Actually, no, I'm the mama, so I'm the one who wants to protect my child. I'm the one who should be on the side of where actually having a firearm in my hand. That's how I feel safest, and so that's what we're seeing. I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 2 toddlers myself, so I've seen a demographic shift to this mindset of I want to be the one who's my own first responder and the responder for my own children, my family. And so why not get trained, get the ability to use a firearm for self-defense and protect people I care about and love?
Yeah, it's a great point. We're talking with Antonia Okafor, spokesperson for Gun Owners of America, their upcoming 2nd annual Women's Range Day in the great state of Nevada. Let's talk about real quickly the Trump administration and this new executive order he has sent to Pam Bondi, Attorney General for the Department of Justice, to review different infringements on the Second Amendment, different regulations around the country, and report them back. I got to admit, I was a little concerned. This was the one issue I was slightly concerned about Pam Bondi, because when she was Attorney General in Florida, she had advocated for a version of a red flag law in the state there. And while overall she's been a rock star, I was hesitant to see how she would stand on this issue. But with that type of executive order, it sounds like we really don't have a lot to worry about. And the good news, it sounds like, is we could actually see maybe a secondary or third review of some of these regulations that blue cities have placed upon gun issues around the country, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great opportunity to even have the conversation here, right? Because,
Uh-oh. Did we lose her?
We didn't even have these opportunities. So it's been great to be at the table. GOA has been in the forefront with the Trump administration. We've been working really closely with the administration to make sure that we can peel back a lot and repeal a lot of these, just infringements on the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment says, and I've even had a debate on this of what it says, but it's very, very clear that the Second Amendment shall not be infringed, and that's all infringements. And so we are no compromise, and we adhere to the fact that, if anything, everything that is an infringement is against the Second Amendment and needs to be withheld back. So at least we have a conversation now. So
I don't know about that, Antonia. According to Joe Biden, it says that, but then there's a clause underneath it, if you'd read closer, that says something about the government can tell you what kind of gun you can have, who's allowed to have it. But in order to see it, you have to do kind of like the national treasure sort of thing, like put the lemon water on there and be able to see it revealed because it's a hidden marker or something. I don't know. You got to do the magic marker like Biden decoder ring, but it's there, right? We just have to find it.
Oh, yeah. Some type of a national treasure type phenomenon going on. But, there's no invisible ink here. It's very clear. And it's all about protecting the natural God-given rights that every American, every human being, not just an American, every human being has. So let's just keep that very clear.
That's exactly what it's about. Let's talk about women for a second. With your guys' upcoming 2nd annual Women's Range Day, women, like you said, even if they are the largest demographic of growing gun owners in the country, if women maybe aren't familiar or comfortable with firearms as well, is there also opportunity for them just to learn maybe self-defense, how to protect themselves in a situation, God forbid, something arise, even if they don't have a firearm on them? Should that be something that we should be encouraging women to do as well?
Absolutely, and we do. So we held our state events and state range days all over the country and in Pennsylvania. In fact, the same weekend that J.D. Vance was there when he was campaigning, we held one with over 100 women, and we got to incorporate self-defense tactics, jiu-jitsu, and different types of self-defense that's non-lethal. Look, we're all about protecting the Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment is not only about firearms, about all arms, right? Even your own. Yeah. It defends your right to self-protection, and so we embrace every single tactic utilized, and we make sure that is part of our events as many times as possible. So absolutely, bring on every type of tactic. We are going to defend that right.
It's what it's about. Antonia, we got just about a minute left here as we wrap things up. Again, if people want to attend this, want to be part of it, how can they be part of your 2nd annual Women's Range Day?
Absolutely. Just follow us on Instagram at empowered_2A, and we will have the link to registration right in the bio and the profile for you. Click it and register. We're all open for you guys. We have VIP dinner with amazing 2A leaders waiting to see you as well on Friday, March 7th. But come on March 8th, and we'll be happy to have you. Only $25.
That's awesome. Go check it out. Empowered_2A. You can see that on the social media. Also find Gun Owners of America on their website. Get all the information about what they're doing this weekend, general information about the organization as well, and go support them fighting for that Second Amendment. We always say you can't have the First Amendment unless you have that Second Amendment, and I think so many have forgotten that policy as well. Antonia, we appreciate the time, my friend. Keep up this fight. This is exciting that we're seeing this movement, and this is the perfect time. Under a new Trump administration, this is the perfect time for us to really embrace this and grow the culture, because we need to make it almost too big to rig and for them to take away as well, right?
Absolutely. Gun rights are women's rights.
That's what it's all about. I love it. Go check it out. Gun Owners of America. Antonia, we appreciate the time very much, my friend. We'll get you back on soon.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Love to be on.
Absolutely. We'll do it again soon. All right, got to take a break. We'll get your thoughts on last night. We'll get your thoughts on the latest legislation. Republicans now working on their budget resolutions moving forward after their passage of their bills in each chamber last week. Also, new information about deportations and ICE coming out today as well. We'll get to all that and more as we wrap up the program today for a midweek celebration here on The Voice of Reason.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. America's safe space for common sense. This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
America's back. America's golden age is here. The American dream is unstoppable. And a pretty amazing night. I would argue probably Donald Trump's best speech.
I loved it, Sean. It was not a speech for the mainstream media. It was a speech for the American people. And I'm sure it was received as well at home as it was there by the Republicans and the audience up in the gallery. It was really shameful what the Democrats did. I mean, they really, it was quite a spectacle. They brought shame on themselves and their party. But the American people are following what the president is delivering, and they are appreciating it, and we certainly did tonight in the chamber.
Yeah, so that was Speaker of the House Mike Johnson after the event. Another rock star night for Donald Trump and the Republicans. Here's the difference, and we're in a weird position right now, and this is why I am so glad that we don't have leaders like Mitch McConnell that's in there, Mr. Squirrel Cheeks himself. Can we do it one more time? Our farewell to Mitch McConnell. Yeah, we're in a really odd position that we're usually not in right now, because even though it may be slim, we have the majority in the House. Even though it may be slim, we have the majority in the Senate. We have the presidency, and we essentially, for the most part, have this U.S. Supreme Court as well, based on the nominations that Trump did in the previous administration and what we're about to get, hopefully, in this administration as well. So right now, Republicans essentially sweep. That's why I said in the first segment of the show today that Democrats, we don't need you. So if you're going to be relevant in the conversation again, you need to start doing some self-reflection, do some inner peace, figure out your anger issues, go to anger management classes, whatever you have to do, and figure things out. Get into a little bit more of a zen to be able to move forward and go through your 7-step process, whatever that is, and rebranding yourselves. Because right now we're in a good position. Either you self-implode, in which case we don't need you, you'll continue to be irrelevant, and we continue on with our agenda. Which is really strange, because I'm a little worried when Republicans get that power, we kind of self-sabotage ourselves as well. Or you figure your stuff out, you start coming back to the table, be a little bit more reasonable, less emotional. I know, I know what I'm saying here is rhetorical, and it's really not going to happen. But it's a dream, right? A guy can live in a dream. And then you come back to the table, be a little bit more moderate, and we start moving forward together. That would be ideal. Either way, it's a win-win, moving the country in the right direction. Now let's focus ourselves on the Republicans. Again, we're in the majority all across the board. It may be slim, but we're in the majority. Donald Trump won the Electoral College. Donald Trump won the popular vote. There was a mandate. Massive counties all over the nation swept further to the right than what's ever been done before. There's a reason for that, and Donald Trump's holding up his end of the bargain and proving what he's did. Promises made, promises kept. The legislature needs to do the same thing. There was a piece, was it last night, this morning, that I saw on the budget reconciliation plan. Now that both chambers, the Senate and the House, both passed their budget resolutions, they're now discussing what the budget may look like for extension of the deadline for the end of the fiscal year this year, which that continuing resolution ends on Friday next week. That's another conversation we get to have soon. And then the Trump tax cuts that extend or that end at the end of this year, and then the new tax cuts that we want to do moving forward. So they're discussing a lot. Apparently, one of the negotiations Democrats or maybe moderate Republicans, not sure who's pushing this agenda, is trying to do is saying, hey, we'll give you a lot of this, but we want to put some restrictions on DOGE. Think about that for a minute. The Department of Government Efficiency that's collected hundreds of billions of dollars in savings and wasteful spending that we've exposed, that Donald Trump rightfully so exposed during his State of the Address last night. Now we want to put restrictions on DOGE.
Say what?
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that's what they're trying. Why? Because they're in a desperate state. Democrats have nothing else to do, so let's try and haggle and let's bargain here. I'm telling if Republicans do that, it's game over. All the momentum that we have right now would be gone. Finito, zero. We can say goodbye to that one. Why? Because we have a mandate that we want to see the reset button hit in government. I know it's uncomfortable. I know that there's a reset happening. I know that, like Donald Trump said, we're going to go through some bumpy patches, but in the long term, it's going to be better. We're so conditioned to the instant gratification that people want the immediate, which is what media has been able to pounce on right now. Look, egg prices are still up. Look, jobless claims are still up right now. Oh, look, inflation's still relatively high right now. Oh, look, gas prices aren't where they said. Donald Trump, this is your economy. A month and a half into the administration. Yeah, it's your economy. It's all your fault. Okay. First off, that's stupid, and that's not true. Second off, we're going to reset the system, and that's going to be positive in the long run. So Republicans, don't be wavering now, because most of the time when we get power, when we have the ability to truly make a difference, we kind of cower a little bit. We start getting scared of our shadow. We're afraid of what the media says. I don't see that yet, so optimistically, I'm not worried about that yet, but I don't want that to be the case. Let's keep on with this momentum, and let's keep winning, and we're going to make this world bigly.
And I think we're going to make it bigly.
Which is what we do. Back at it again tomorrow. Until then, be your own voice of reason. Be that catalyst for change. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hoosier. We'll see you on the radio. Bye.